And today's topic is sexual assault. And now we're joined by attorney David Ahlert to talk more about that. Nothing that's light or easy to talk about,
Right.
but let's just start with, defining it. Do you always need force involved for there to be sexual assault?
Absolutely not. A lot of times force isn't involved. It can become a power situation. That power sometimes is a teacher to a student or some sort of person that is over another person within an employment setting, like a boss or a supervisor. Those are two examples we see a lot, unfortunately. Also, you have situations that happen at camps or after school programs. So it's not always force. A lot of times it's just manipulation or that power that they have over the individual to take advantage of them sexually.
So if there's not, extreme force necessary,
Right.
a lot of it kind of could be a gray,
Right.
squidgy area, if you will. So how do you know, should something happen to you or a loved one, that you need to go see an attorney and do something about it?
Well, first of all, you want to make sure that you document anything that may be out of the ordinary. A lot of times these things don't just happen out of the blue. There'll be a progression of, attention or certain things that happen with the individuals, particularly when it's two adults, that you'll start to see a trend towards maybe something happening. And if that's the case, you want to try to stop it early, but you want to make sure you document everything that happens. And of course, you want to report that person if it is an environment where you work with them or you're around them in some sort of work setting on most of the time during the week or maybe once a month, whatever it may be. Beyond that, at some point, if you feel like you have been assaulted or it's getting to that point, at least to an harassment level, the first thing you want to do is go to the police. Now, a lot of people will come to an attorney like myself or others in town, which is fine, and they'll have that attorney help them walk them through the process because they've never dealt with filing a police report or talking to a detective. And that's something that you can do as well, but most importantly is making sure that the police are involved and they're going to investigate it. And then secondarily to that, obviously having an attorney to work on your behalf, through the case process, because people are very uncomfortable, not really understanding what's going to happen, thinking, hey, am I going to be, in a trial, on the stand, that sort of thing. Something they don't want to do, obviously, from the horrendous situation that's occurred, and that's where an attorney really can help as well.
I assume a lot of times in the workplace that there might be the fear, just that initial reporting of it.
Right.
I'm going to lose my job. I can't
Right.
do this. So is that a case where they might want to come to you first just for protection? To
Yeah,
say it's okay?
a lot of times at least get some advice from an attorney to determine what has happened and what you should do, what the proper steps are. There may be something that you should do internally there at the employer if they have a manual, certain guidelines you follow. But what you really want to make sure is that it's documented early. Unfortunately, sometimes when there's a progression of incidents that aren't documented and reported, then it's an easy argument from the defense standpoint to look at it and say this was a mutual type of situation. Now it's just almost like a breakup. In reality, it may not have been that. It may have just been a progressive harassment that led to that. Unfortunately, it may not look that way later on.
It's interesting when you say sexual assault, what comes to mind for me immediately is the terrible stories you hear in the news,
Right.
By a stranger, violence.
Right.
But most of the time, that's not the case. It's someone you know.
Exactly. You obviously do see some of the horrendous reports related to kidnapping and rape and assault and those type of things. And those are pretty black and white situations. But you're right. A lot of the times it may not actually be full physical contact. It'll be, groping and different types of touching and things that are completely inappropriate and are sexual assault in and of themselves, but sometimes people just don't know how to react to that. And that is usually what starts things. And unfortunately, it can go on for quite some time before somebody will report it.
Is this something that happens a lot more than we know about? How frequently do people come to you about things like this?
This is something that happens a lot. It happens a lot with people, or happens a lot with people that they know. And those people don't want to come forward. They don't want to rock the boat.
Sure.
But unfortunately, if you don't, then it's never going to stop. And again, it gets to the point that if it's a continuous type of action, it may be difficult to prove that it was actually unwanted.
All right. So as always, take those first steps right
Absolutely.
away as soon as it happens.
No matter how difficult or uncomfortable
Sure.
it may be,
Very
that's the most
uncomfortable.
important thing you can do.
All right. Trial Tuesday with attorney David Ahlert. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we've got much more on Low Country Live right after the break, so stick with us.
The guy that